Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, everyone. I'm truly honored to be with you today. It's such a very special moment. I apologize for the delay. I think with everything that is happening, with the amazing crowd outside, everyone is quite excited, and there's this anxiety of missing out. So this is happening, and it's happening even under the Expo dome of this pavilion. First of all, I would like to welcome His Excellency, my dear brother, Dr. Sultan Al Jaber, for his presence. He's been a great supporter from day one, since the first brick that was built in this pavilion. And I would also like to welcome all of our supporters. And of course, it is, as I said, it's a conclusion of the Expo 2020 Dubai. I've been seeing your faces, your great achievements around this floor, Dreamers Who Do. And it has been very quite special moment narrating your stories to our guests from different countries around the world, from official delegations to school children. This has been truly a remarkable achievement. So I've been seeing so many of you, and I think I'll never forget your faces and your achievements, and you do carry a very special place in all of our hearts. Especially, I speak on the behalf of the team at the pavilion. I would like to take this opportunity to express how really proud I am, how exceptional the UAE Pavilion has been in delivering our message of the Dreamers Who Do by showcasing our past, present, and the future. Our sincerest appreciation and gratitude to everyone for their dedication, support, and participation. And I would also like to thank our protocol team, the operations, the Marcoms teams, everyone for their work, and it has been really a wonderful experience with them. Allow me also to express that we're here in Expo, and in this pavilion. We've been always asked the question of what are you trying to present? Can you please get a bottle of water for a friend? Oh, sorry. Salamat. So in the land of dreamers who do, and we've been trying to also portray the message of over the past 50 years that the UAE has been built with the hope of a better future, and of the UAE Pavilion, who have celebrated the story of the dreamers who do. You have shared your stories that were inspired by the founders and leaders of our nation who understood the importance of investing in human connections. We have showcased and highlighted the story of aspiring people, each one of you. You advocate the collective progress of this nation. Our dreamers who do, you do embody the story every day, and how that contributes to our society, inspire our communities, and pursue their dreams. To our dreamers, thank you very much for sharing your story that brings pride and joy. By pursuing your dreams, you inspire us all to do the same. Again, with concluding those past 6 months, the UAE Pavilion would like to celebrate you, to celebrate each one of you for the legacy through such an official launch of the Dreamers Who Do film premiere, a UAE Pavilion Expo 2020 original series. This is their home over the last 50 years, from industry-leading innovators to creative minds and members of the community. And this video will feature a large spectrum of dreamers and achievers who have contributed to the journey of this nation. We really hope that you will enjoy the film. It will be presented in 2 parts with a short intermission. And in the majlis, where you can enjoy, of course, a break and some refreshments. And now, please sit back, relax, and let's all together embark into a journey to discover the land of dreamers together. Thank you.
The silence of the desert is where I can get inspiration from, just being outside in that calmness.
دائما أتخيل الماضي، حتى يوم أمشي في الشارع أتخيل أني أشوف البلاد هذه مثلا بدون البنايات، بدون مثلا الشوارع بالناس والسيايير. أشوف الأرض، أشوف العشب، جمال طبيعة البلاد.
I get to experience finding a plant that's growing from nothing in sand, that tenacity, and it reflects on what has been done in the UAE and what has been built over the past 50 years is just incredible.
أنا حالي حال أي حد من جيلي ربينا على قصص عن تاريخ وتراث اللولي.
One of my favorite Chinese proverbs is an idea can turn from dust to magic depending on the talent it rubs upon.
Oh, it's very inspirational for me to just be outside in the desert thinking about my childhood in Al Ain and where we've come to today and where we are going in the future.
We are surrounded by talents, various nationalities, various backgrounds. The UAE is a place that turns dust to magic.
يا سعيد لاقيت الدماني وين السدر ديم ظليله، خلي تبسم عن ثماني ما ريت في الدنيا مثيله. يدتي الله يرحمها كانت تغني لي إياها وأنا صغير، كانت دايما تكررها لي فدايما أستحضرها. اسمي سعيد خميس سويدي من إمارة دبي، باحث في الأرشيف الوطني وعندي مبادرة اسمها الموروث. يوم أنك أنت بتجلس مع شخص وبيستذكر لك يعني أمور صارت معاه قبل 70 و80 سنة وبيتكلم عن ناس اليوم ما حد منهم موجود، أحس أنه يصير فيه اتصال يمكن عقلي أو روحي، وفي نفس الوقت أنت عندك هذا الجيل الله يحفظهم من مواليد العشرينات أو الثلاثينات، يعني عقب خلنا نقول 20 أو 30 سنة ما حد منهم بيكون موجود. يدي ويدتي الله يرحمهم كانوا دائما يعني يرددون القصيد والمعلومات القديمة. أذكر سألت يدي سؤال وقال لي ما عندي علم، فقلت لا أنا من الحين بوثق وببتدي أكتب، وهذا اللي سويته. ابتديت في تويتر وبعدها بفترة بسيطة ابتديت في انستغرام في 2012. الشيارة تبتدي من البذرة وتنمو ويكون لها جذع سميك ثابت في الأرض وتتفرع مثل العائلة. أشوف أن توثيق شجرة العائلة مهم لأنه يزيد من الترابط بين الناس. ترابط المجتمع يعكس أن تكون حتى الدولة قوية. فأنت يوم توثق المعلومات هذه وتنشر هذا العلم تخلي الناس تتفكر في حياة الناس اللي سبقوهم وتشجعهم على أنهم يكملون المسيرة هذه بأي شكل من الأشكال. في مجال التوثيق اليوم صعبة في مجال واحد، أنت تتكلم عن أجيال تمشي، فأنا عشان أتأكد من معلومة واحدة لازم أقابل 5 و6 و7. إذا أنت ما عندك القوة أنك تتابع تراك ما بتمشي في هذا الدرب. هي عدة لحظات اللي خلتني أحس أني أنجزت. في عوايل التواصل بينهم كان منقطع مثلا من 30 أو 40 سنة. من خلال المعلومات هذه اللي انتشرت تواصلوا وياي قالوا والله هذه أرحامنا ودنا نتواصل وياهم.
الأسطورة سمعتها من أحد الغاصة توفوا الله يرحمهم أن اللؤلؤ بنت المطر. كانوا يظنون في الأيام الماطرة المحارة تفتح صدفاتها وتحاول تلتقط قطرات الماء العذبة وتبتدي تكوين حبات اللؤلؤ. كانوا دائما يربطون اللؤلؤ اللي هو في أعماق البحار في شيء نازل من السماء أو شيء يدل على النقاء والصفاء. أنا محمد السويدي، رائد أعمال مختص في التصميم. بعد ما خلصت دراستي الجامعية والتحقت في مشروع بداع عبد الله أخويا في 2005. سافرت وبحثت في موضوع ثقافة اللؤلؤ وتاريخها. شكل عندي شغف في التصميم واللؤلؤ. هاي كانت بداية فكرة إنشاء استوديو أساطير. وايد اهتم فكرة استخدام مواد أولية طبيعية إماراتية. ما يهمني المنتج النهائي قد ما أنه يهمني القصة. أعتقد ترجمنا قصص ملهمة أو قصص صعبة لأجدادنا للاستخدام المحلي والعالمي، تحمل هوية وثقافة الإمارات.
كان حلمي أني أنا أشتغل في مجال الفن.
الحلم يبتدي من فكرة، لكن المراحل اللي أنت تمر فيها لتطوير هذه الفكرة هو اللي يوصلك إلى الحلم هذا. أتذكر لما كنت صغير كنت جالس على حضن أمي وأشوف خط النمل كيف كان يمشي في خط مستقيم مرتب جدا، كان فيه تكرار. كنت أرسم دائما نقط 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 إن أتذكر هاللحظة.
أمي كانت دائماً مركزة معاي وايد، فأي شيء تشوفني مهتمة فيه تقولي تعلمي. يعتمد على التكرار، شيء بسيط ولكن التكرار يعلم الشطار. أنا عفرة الظاهري من إمارة أبو ظبي. أنا فنانة تشكيلية وأستاذ مساعد في جامعة زايد، من المؤسسين لبيت 15. كنت أدرس في جامعة زايد، بديت بزنس أكاونتنج، بعدين استوعبت أن لا، أنا مش في مكاني، ما أعرف أصلاً شو أريد. فرحت عند الأدفايزر مالي فسوالي سيشن حق آرت فاونديشن. ضحكت أطالع حواليني أقول لهم هذا كلاس، يعني أنا أقدر أكون فنانة؟ كاني ياهل مودين الدكان. بس من عقبها I took it very seriously. قدمت على ماسترز في أمريكا وانتقلت أمريكا، عشت هناك 2 سنين. كان جزء من البرنامج الدراسي مالي أني أنا لازم أكون مساعد مدرس، فتعرفت على تدريس. إذا كان مدرس فهو يتعلم ويدرس في نفس الوقت طول حياته تقريباً. صار عندي شغف في الموضوع، والحين عندي طالبات أشوفهم يعرضون أعمالهم معايا في نفس المعارض، شيء جداً فخورة فيه. أنا أشوف أني وايد محظوظة كون أني فنانة تشكيلية في هالفترة الزمنية بالتحديد في أبو ظبي في الإمارات. أفكاري غالباً مستوحاة من التعمق الفكري في مناقشة الأفكار اللي تربيت عليها في مجتمعي في بيئتي. أعتقد أن التحديات فرص، يعني إذا شخص فعلاً حاب أنه ينتمي لمجال الفن بيثابر. كان الطموح أن نحفز غيرنا بعد من الفنانين المفكرين الكتاب يفتحون أماكنهم الخاصة، نعيش في الإمارات وإحنا ننظر للمستقبل. الفن له قوة وله تأثير، يترك بصمة، سواء كان تأثيره اليوم أو يكتشف في المستقبل.
التصميم مو بشيء بصري أو فني فقط أو جميل. التصميم هو طريقة تفكير، عبارة عن وسيلة لحل مشكلة معينة. اسمي سامي القاسمي، مدير ومؤسس استوديو فكرة. أنا درست في الجامعة الأمريكية في الشارجة، وقتها ما كان في حد يدرس التصميم الجرافيكي باللغة العربية أو الخط العربي، كانت اللغة الإنجليزية لها الأولوية، اللغة العربية ما كانت لها أهمية. قلت خلنا نشتغل على مشروع نحن نقدر نعكس ثقافتنا من خلال عدسة التصميم. فأسست فكرة في 2006 وركزنا على تصميم الشعارات باللغتين، بالعربي والإنجليزي. التصميم الجرافيكي عبارة عن اتصال، الواحد لازم يفكر في هويته، منو دائما أفكر في الخط العربي، شو معنى الدمج بين اللغة العربية والإنجليزية. التطور هذا اللي قاعد يصير مهم جدا، ما بياسين نخسر هويتنا القديمة، قاعدين نبني عليها. حاولت أن فكرة تكون منصة، أعمالنا دائما نفكر فيها من ناحية تجريبية، ومن خلال هذه الأعمال نحاول أن نروي روايتنا نحن كمجتمع أو كشعب. طبعاً التحديات كثيرة في خلال 15 سنة، طلعت ونزلت قلت خلاص بوقف بسكر الشركة. يعني هذا تحدي متعب جداً لما الواحد ينتج أعمال ما يكون واثق منها. كيف الواحد ممكن يستخدم هالتحديات لكي يوصل إلى مرحلة يبدع فيها؟
I dream of food. I dream of food a lot, all the time.
I feel that through the food that I have created, that I have really been able to bridge people and to make them more familiar with the UAE culture, and also to make them feel more at home in the UAE.
I wanted to educate people. I wanted to expose them to agriculture and support local agriculture, especially sustainable local agriculture.
Food is a way to communicate, and it belongs to everyone, and it creates automatic connections because there's so much emotion behind a dinner experience, behind sharing something that you made with love. My name is Kenza Zebdi. I'm from Morocco. I'm the co-founder of Inked.
My name is Patrick Jarjour, and I'm from Lebanon, and I'm the co-founder of Inked.
The experience of Inked is an immersive experience where we want you to jump in this dinner. This is how we see it. So it's never just about one thing. It's about everything around you. We want all senses to be awakened. We
were told that we were crazy, so we had to jump in, to believe in what we were doing, and just to start creating and see where we're gonna go.
That was the spark. The spark was to have a platform where we can do it all differently all the time with no format.
It started when we were in 2012. In our honeymoon in Berlin, we saw the food scene. So we created two concepts. The first one was Good Vibes Market. And at the same time, we were looking at opening Inked, which was the event side and the food side combined together.
There was that energy that we wanted to bring and develop here.
The UAE, it's a city where, it shows that anything is possible.
We wanted to show that food is an artistic expression, and that's why for us, there was no other place than Al Serkal Avenue. They believed in us from day one.
Personally, what I'm proud of is what we have achieved with what we had, especially during COVID, how we were able to stay together and strong.
The best chefs of Dubai came to Ink to cook at that time for people in need. You can't go backwards after that. So the dream hasn't stopped, it just evolved because we've evolved, we've changed.
So if we look at what's happening in the world today and the food that is wasted, you can probably feed the planet 10 times every year with the food that we waste on. Today, we're not allowed to have people hungry.
Moving to the UAE was a new discovery for us. It was a journey. My name is Ellie Creel. I come from South Africa, Johannesburg. When I arrived in Dubai, I was teaching at a university and finishing my PhD. I'm now running a kosher kitchen in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. My dream really with the food was to become part of the culture of the UAE. Most of the challenges were around helping us establish our lifestyle in the UAE. While we were very welcomed and we felt very at home and very at ease, we didn't have the kosher ingredients that we were quite used to, and we didn't have the kosher resources that we were quite used to. So what I did was I started fusing the typical foods that they were familiar with the Emirati flavors. And the more I learned the recipes, the more I realized how similar the recipes were to some of our recipes. And in that way, I created this fusion called Kosherati, kosher Emirati food. The UAE is full of amazing foods. When people found out that there was a kosher woman living in Dubai making kosher food, they started reaching out to me. And I would send food out, and eventually that grew and grew and grew into what is now a business. The food was allowing me to experience a new culture, allowing others to travel into the UAE and discover this environment. And that is, in effect, helping people to build relationships, positive relationships for the future.
My name is Yazan Al-Qudmani. I was born in the city of Al Ain from Syrian origin. Agriculture in the UAE has incredible potential, and it has shown incredible potential. Today we have over 30,000 farms. The original dreamer in my story is my father, Engineer Al-Qudmani. He was an agriculture engineer in Syria who heard about a great man greening the desert, the founding father of the UAE, Sheikh Zayed. My father worked in environment protection in agriculture. Based on the work that was done there and the achievements they did there, they were recognized by the Crown Prince Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed and given land to set up Emirates Biofarm. And I joined in late 2016. And then I realized the need the people have to visit the farm. I set up the first open farm day in 2019, and I expected 20 people to show up, and 150 people showed up. It's not just people that care about organic food, it's people that care about coming out and seeing real nature. Many people are looking of ways of living more sustainably. Eating seasonally is one of the best ways. So you're ensuring that food hasn't traveled thousands of kilometers. You're ensuring that you're eating nutritious, good, healthy food. And you're ensuring that you're supporting your local ecosystem. So it's something that we advocate for. My dream for the future of the farm is to expand on the agritourism, to expand on the production of sustainable local agriculture, to offer people more experiences that they can come out and educate themselves and their children on where food comes from, what does environment protection in agriculture mean, and they know their farmer by the first name. I think when my son is my age, hopefully carrying the same message that he learned from his grandfather, from his father, and the inspiration that we got from the founding father of the UAE, Sheikh Zayed, which is whatever he's doing it with care, with attention, and with sustainability and environment protection in mind.
Education comes in so many forms, shapes, and sizes. It brings something larger and transcends your own personal goals so that you contribute to human society in some form.
A while back, I was taking my nephew, Leif, to school, and I mentioned to him, I said, Leif, school is cool. I was just trying to rhyme with him. And he said, no, Ammo, school is a tool. I said, a tool for what? And he said, it's a tool to fix my brain, fill it with knowledge. I said, what are you going to do with that knowledge? He said, I'm going to fix all the problems in the world with the knowledge that I have from school. My name is Badr Ward. I'm a Palestinian Canadian, and I'm the founder of Lamsa. Through my work in technology and using technology to impact society at large scale, I saw an opportunity when my kids were growing up. The way that they are attracted to digital devices, I saw a window of opportunity saying, okay, can we make use and leverage kids' attention on these devices? Lamsa is an edtech platform for young children where they can get access to interactive stories, games, and videos that help develop their cognitive, language, social, emotional skills, and education. My father and mother have been the greatest influence for me. By teaching early childhood development, my mother was able to impact society in so many ways. أتذكر هذه اللحظة لحظة تاريخية يعني في حياتي. الشيخ محمد مصدر إلهام كان لنا يعني من وإحنا في الجامعة كان يجي عندنا ويسألنا إيش طموحكم، إيش أهدافكم، يفهمنا هو إيش الرؤية حقته لدبي، وأي حلم يحسه محدود يقول لك فكر أكبر.
ما شاء الله.
Education might be perceived as a very traditional sector. Trying to make that fun was not always welcomed, and so we tried to break that mold and come out of it by saying, yes, we can focus on the intrinsic motivation of children, make them want to learn rather than try to force education on them. Every child on Lamsa will have their personalized experience that develops on their strength to reach their full potential. In the physical world, this is very expensive. But in the digital world, we can democratize that education and development to be in the hands of every child across the world.
I have been so lucky all my life in that at different stages of my life, I've been supported in my goals, but I've mostly been loved for who I am and what I do, and I've been encouraged. I am Mariette Westerman, and I'm the Vice Chancellor of New York University, Abu Dhabi. Because I was a very curious child, and to this day, I am very motivated by thinking about how you can bring people together to make more of what they have to offer. It's an incredible thing to be asked in the 21st century to build an entirely new university where there wasn't one. The government leadership of Abu Dhabi, together with NYU, they thought of something truly unique. Bring a world-class American university to the region and show that you can deliver top quality degrees in education here, not in 50 years, but you do it in 10. As a teacher, you will rarely be asked to envision a new university and then have the resources to build it. My students here often ask me, how did you become Vice Chancellor of NYU Abu Dhabi? And the honest answer is, I don't really know precisely. They really motivate me to do better with and for them. And you never forget of why you have this job leading a university when you're with so many young people making these just demands. I've always been inspired by people who strive to do difficult things, do something different, and take something from those challenges. One of the greatest challenges with building NYU Abu Dhabi was the timeline. There were days that I would wake up and look at my list and say, okay, these are the 10 things I need to move forward today, 9 of which I don't know how to do. And it was all about finding people who had that same commitment and were willing to figure things out in a climate of uncertainty, but making sure that all these professors really want to build their research careers here and also are very motivated at the same time to teach these incredible students. That was one of the big challenges. Conceiving of NYU Abu Dhabi, delivering on that and building it out really has been a dream in many ways.
كان حلمي لما بديت أشوف الوالدة تعاني إن أخفف هذه الآلام عن هذا الشخص سواء من قريب أو من بعيد. ما كنت أحب أشوف أي حد يحس في أي ألم.
It's such a beautiful feeling when you are able to save a falcon that's actually supposed to die, and you look in the eyes of this falcon. It's just like magic, really. That's what I believe I'm destined to do, to save animals and in the same time to save people through the help of animals.
اليوم نقول الجنود البيض أو ملائكة الرحمة. البياض يعطي صفاء القلب، يعطي اتساع في النظرة للمهنة إنك أنت تقدر تحتوي. أنا الدكتورة صفاء عزات المصطفى، أول ممرضة إماراتية تمسك أكبر قسم تمريض في مستشفيات الإمارات. في البداية والدي طبعاً هو كان بعد دافع إنه يخليني أدخل مهنة التمريض، يشجعني، وطفولتي أنا أعتبرها من الفطرة إني عندي هذا الحب، أهتم بشغف. علاقة الممرضة بالمريض علاقة قوية، هي روحانية، عقلانية، نفسية. الألم دائماً مش بس جسدي، المريض أضعف إنسان موجود في الرعاية الصحية. صلة التواصل والتفاهم مع المريض تحسها عائلية، لازم تتعامل معاه كأي فرد من أفراد العائلة. يوم الممرضة تشوف المريض يتعافى يعني تحس إنها سوت إنجاز، وكل مريض عن مريض يختلف، فأنت إنجازاتك ما توقف. أكبر دافع للحياة حب الناس، أحب إني أشوف الناس كلها سعيدة ومرتاحة.
When I look at what falcons have taught me, it's about perseverance, it's about strength, it's about willpower. Once you focus on a goal, you keep going. It doesn't matter how huge the obstacles are in the way. Each obstacle in our life is a preparation for the next stage in our life. My name is Dr. Margit Gabriel Muller. I'm the Executive Director of the Abu Dhabi Falcon Hospital. My main influences in all my life have been actually my animals. When I came here 20 years ago, I was completely alone. And it was a very difficult beginning here because I was the first female veterinarian in this very male-oriented world of falconry. I have adopted a stray dog that I found in the street 6 weeks after I arrived here. And this dog actually helped me to keep going despite all those hardships in the beginning. And without my animals, I would have never been where I am now. I cannot live without them. Falcon Hospital is not just a hospital for falcons, it is nowadays a brand name. We have one hospital for falcons and birds, and the second one's for pets, plus the animal shelter. We are the largest falcon hospital in the world. We treat more than 11,000 falcons per year, so it's a very busy place. And because of this, of course, I plus my team have a huge experience in falcons. It was a great accomplishment for me to discover the 2 new diseases in falcons. I tried to share the knowledge that I have and that we have gathered as a team over those years to the world, because that's in the end the legacy that will be left from us.
My dream is really thinking about architecture in a sustainable way and trying to build our future cities in harmony with nature and in harmony with the planet and not going against it. Once I started looking at the details of the construction industry and how that impacts the environment, I was really shocked. The cement industry alone is responsible for 8% of global CO2 emission. This comes third after China and the US in terms of CO2 emissions. It compares to countries, not to industries. My name is Wael Awar, and I'm the principal architect and founding partner of YY. Once you look at the problem of Portland cement, you soon discover that the problem is in the binder, which is the lime. And it is converting limestone to lime that releases a tremendous amount of CO2. We will have to find alternative ways, more sustainable ways in building our future cities. It's only natural that I start thinking, what is my role and responsibility as an architect on the climate, and how can I help in finding a solution to this problem? And I came across the sabkhas of the UAE, and there I was immediately captivated because of the cementitious crust. We then learned that magnesium oxide is an insoluble salt that is also found in sabkha, and that was a binding agent in the cementitious crust. NYU Abu Dhabi Advanced Material Building and Research Labs were also looking at producing a cement from magnesium oxide. And that magnesium oxide was being extracted from the reject brine of desalination water. The MENA region accounts for 55% of global desalination. And today, we really need to desalinate. We can't live or exist in the GCC without the use of desalination. Why don't we tap into that industrial waste product and use the minerals in it in producing this new cement mix? At the Venice Architecture Biennale, we presented a prototype that was in collaboration with Tokyo University. We presented a prototype that is an homage to the vernacular architecture of the UAE that was built from corals. Once we won, I was blown away. You know, it's like panic mode. How do I get up there on stage? And there's all these jury members that are the top-notch architects of the world. So this cube is made from magnesium oxide cement. And after winning the Golden Lion at the Venice Architecture Biennale, the Ministry of Culture hosted an event at UNESCO in Paris, where we presented the research and asked delegates and countries from all over the world to join forces with us in supporting this initiative.
اختياري كأحد الحالمون كانت لحظة فخر.
الواحد يفكر ليش أنا في كثير من الناس اللي يحلمون. الواحد لما يدخل جناح الإمارات يشوف مش تجربة واحدة، يشوف تجارب مختلفة، ومع بعض هاي التجارب ترسم لوحة عن نحن.
أنت تحط نقط في حياتك. أنا أحط مشاركتي في جناح الإمارات في إكسبو 2020 نقطة مهمة في حياتي.
إكسبو أعطاني الدافع أني أنا أهتم أكثر، وبذلك أبدعت، طورت، كبرت في قطاعي، ما تراجعت، وأعتقد فتح لي نافذة للعالمية.
أنا أشوف أني وايد محظوظة كون أني فنانة تشكيلية في هالفترة الزمنية، بالتحديد في أبو ظبي في الإمارات.
I think my presence in the pavilion is really about the larger vision and the larger dream.
كان إحساس فخر يوم دخلت أول يوم في الافتتاح، شيء جداً جميل يثلج الصدر، النور، البياض.
الجناح الإماراتي في إكسبو هو أرض الحالمين، حلم مستمر يروح لحقيقة وما يوقف.
For me to be a dreamer is a huge motivation to do more, to inspire people to dream big and to have the belief they can achieve everything they want in this world.
إكسبو طبعاً وين تتلاقى العقول، فلي أنا فرصة أني أتعرف على الثقافات الثانية، وفرصة طبعاً للثقافات أن يتعرفون علينا. فكيف نحن نقدر نوصل الرسالة بنفسنا؟ كيف نحن ممكن كمجتمع نعمل على إنتاج وخلق المحتوى من منظورنا نحن؟
The whole essence of what we do is to bring people together. I hope we'll continue to do things that we love and that are in line with who we are.
My dream of the future is a world anchored in vibrant green cities.
I envision a future where the UAE will become known for arid climate, agriculture, and become a knowledge center for the challenges that not only this region is going to face, but the entire world is going to face with water scarcity and climate change.
أحلم بأن نفهم ونقدر بيئتنا ومحيطنا عشان تستديم لمستقبلنا ولأجيالنا من بعدنا.
أتمنى أن حلمي يوديني للعالم بدون حدود، وأن أعمالي تتكلم مع العالم بدون حدود.
شيء كان بالنسبة لي العطاء، شعور يمكن ما له ثمن.
It's a different feeling, you know, when you're just walking in the farm. It's just a tranquil feeling, you know.
I'm not a fish farmer. I'm not an agriculturalist. I'm not a forest manager. But somehow I'm able to bring all of these things together and make them work.
Being a material scientist, I asked myself, can I do something for this?
Our goal should be to reach zero waste.
ما في كلمات ممكن إنها توصف شعوري، لكن مسبار الأمل كان جزء كبير من حياتنا.
You have to be an innovator. And to be an innovator, you have to be a dreamer. I have a lot of dreams. Regardless of what our background is, one community, one family, the family of planet Earth.
Nobody really had that concept in their minds until we actually did it.
الرمال الصحراوية ما تقدر تحتفظ بالمياه. النبات يحتاج كميات كبيرة من المياه، والمياه كذلك الغير مالحة. ولكن طبيعة الصحراء في الإمارات نوعية الرمال وكذلك تملح الرمال وتملح المياه الموجودة في الصحراء يجعلها صعبة إن احنا نحتفظ بالنباتات اللي هي ممكن تعطينا عائد بشكل كبير. المركز الدولي للزراعة الملحية يقوم بالعديد من الأبحاث. هذه الأبحاث طبعاً متخصصة في الأراضي الملحية، في الإنتاج الغذائي واستدامته، ولكن بطرق مبتكرة، وكذلك أن إيجاد حلول لعملية زراعة الصحراء والزراعات المالحة، محاصيل بديلة، تطوير التكنولوجيا بحيث أن احنا نقدر يكون عندنا أفضل الممارسات اللي ممكن تساهم في عملية استخدام المياه المالحة في الري، وكذلك بناء القدرات في العديد من الدول. ما في وظيفة معينة كنت أحلم فيها، بس كنت أستمتع بمساعدة الآخرين. لذلك يمكن التعليم، الزراعة، الطب يمكن كانوا يخطرون على بالي أكثر، لأن فيهم في النهاية عطاء بلا مقابل. إحنا عندنا 3 مختبرات أساسية. المختبر الأول اللي هو يعني بعمليات التحليل للتربة والمياه. مختبر إحنا عندنا إياه اللي هو المختبر الأخضر، يتم فيه عملية التحضيرات ما بعد العمليات البحثية. وكذلك عندنا مختبر علوم الصحراء اللي إحنا عملناه بالتعاون مع BGI، وهو يتكلم عن التقنيات الحديثة الخاصة بالسيكونسينج وكيف إن إحنا ممكن ندخل DNA في عملية البريدينج وتغيير النباتات وخصائصها. الشغل مع المزارعين ممتع جدا، لأن تشوف الفرحة في عينهم وتشوف كيف تقبلهم للتغيير، وكيف إن هذه الإنتاجية مش فقط تغير حياتهم هم فقط كأفراد، ولكن تساعدهم في التطور اجتماعياً ومالياً واقتصادياً. كلمة الابتكار ساعات يكون معها مرادف آخر اللي هو في تحدي أنا ممكن أصنع له حل. يمكن ما يكون لها تفسير دائم، لأن التحديات مختلفة بطبيعتها، فكل ما اختلفت التحديات زادت الابتكارات. كل ما صار عندنا ابتكارات صار عندنا حلول. أتمنى أن المركز الدولي للزراعة الملحية يستمر صورة سلسة وصورة بالعكس مكملة للأدوار اللي تحاول مختلف الحكومات أنها توصلها من ناحية استدامة الأمن الغذائي لشعوبها.
I always had a personal passion for the environment, for farming, the outdoor in general. And when the UAE government started initiatives such as food security and sustainable practices, we were inspired and motivated to do such a project that will benefit the whole community. My name is Abdullah Al-Kabi. I'm from Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates. I'm the founder of Smart Acres. Smart Acres is a hydroponic vertical farm that utilizes artificial intelligence and data analysis to ensure the optimal cultivation and harvest of pesticide-free crops. When you import lettuce, there is a lot of wastage, especially with leafy greens. So producing it over here, we are working on less wastage, fresh produce, less reliant on imports, of course, and significant reduction of carbon emissions. Everything inside our facilities is controlled, from humidity, from CO2 level, from the LED lights, and even the water nutrients that goes into the plants. We grow different varieties of lettuce, and plus recently we started growing kale. Of course, my father was always an inspiration. He was always a great supporter throughout my journey. One of the biggest challenges we faced during our proof of concept was controlling the environment. For that alone can affect the desired outcome of consistent target weight and a mature size varieties of lettuce. Through multiple trials and errors, we managed to pull this one off and always try to maintain that level of consistency and quality of our produce. Our next step is commencing our expansion, which is from 8 models, 8 containers to 80 containers. And hopefully we will start selling our produce by the end of the year or early 2023. We decided to do something that will be beneficial for the community and for generations to come.
I come from Mexico City. In Mexico City, we have a lot of traffic problems. So I used to spend long periods of time in the morning and long periods of time in the afternoon going and coming back from school. So that was actually what prompted me to go into civil engineering and then to go into transportation engineering, which ended up being diverted into energy systems for transportation. My dream is to be able to contribute to making sure that we have a way of living sustainably in this world. Once you go into aviation, it's very hard to leave. This was an opportunity to merge those two passions, sustainability and aviation, into one. My name is Alejandro Rios. I am the director of the Sustainable Bioenergy Research Consortium at Khalifa University of Science and Technology. So what we do is we take seawater, we use it to feed a farm of fish. As these animals grow, they generate waste. That waste goes into the water, and we need to change the water frequently. What most people do is that they dump the water back into the ocean. But what we do is we take this water and we use it as a liquid fertilizer to feed fields of halophyte plants. These halophyte plants produce a tiny oil seed that can later be turned into a specific form of jet fuel. And then as the water continues its path back to the ocean, we make it pass through a forest of mangroves that cleans the water further and actually absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And as the water returns to the ocean, we make sure that it's in the same condition as the water that originally came in. And we have produced food, we have produced jet fuel, and we have cleaned the water, and we have cleaned the air in the process. My passion is in that part of putting together the system and making sure that the system works. That's, in a way, what engineering is all about. And that's, in a way, what innovation is all about as well. Nobody believed that this could be done, right? And so we went through the process of building this entire facility, and then we used that fuel that was produced in a flight from Abu Dhabi to Amsterdam in year 2019. We know that the system works. We need to make sure that it can grow and that it can actually have an impact at the scale that it needs to have an impact.
Our innovative work is finding an alternative to the Portland cement, which has a huge CO2 footprint.
The innovation and the work I do and I have done over the years, studying things from the nanoscale up to the pilot scale. I believe in studying things from the atoms going up rather than the old-fashioned trying things and error and going down and repeating them and modifying them.
Everybody knows that when you burn fossil fuel, there are emissions of gases. One of them is CO2. If we can come up with the new technologies to absorb CO2 and these toxic emissions then it's not a bad fuel.
Researchers are curious people. They always ask so many questions about what is happening around them. I believe I am one of them. And questioning and coming up with answer all these questions is the key element of being an innovator. My name is Kemal Çelik. I'm an assistant professor of civil and urban engineering at New York University, Abu Dhabi. And I am the director of Amber Lab, which is Advanced Materials and Building Efficiency Research Laboratory. Our innovative work is finding an alternative to the Portland cement, which has a huge CO2 footprint. And we use, for this purpose, desalination reject brine that is currently discharged back to the sea and destroys the marine environment. And by using this waste, we produce alternative cement that absorbs CO2 and gains strength and becomes carbon negative alternative to the conventional cement. With this, we produce a synergetic benefit for cement industry and desalination industry. Two things have sparked my innovation. One is my father. I used to help him during my off times, who was a carpenter, and that makes me think about better construction materials and how to build sustainable construction materials. The other thing is nature. We know that coral colonies produce coral reefs, which are really strong skeletons or minerals, and our technology has similar mechanisms. We use carbonate ions, seawater, and then produce strong cementitious material. In Amber Lab, we work at the intersection of material science, chemistry, engineering, and geoscience. And we have expertise from different backgrounds, and everyone brings their expertise to the table and create a flourishing and synergetic environment. Our biggest supporters are the current members and alumni of our Amber Lab team. And then we are grateful for the support given by our leadership at NYU Abu Dhabi. Our devoted family members, once we lose the track of time at work, they patiently wait for us. UAE's willingness to embrace the change and innovation through research and development make UAE an ideal place to follow our dream and research. My 2 cents for the young innovators will be to follow their dreams by focusing on the ultimate goals and ignoring the discouragement or obstacles they would have around. It is like learning to ride a bike and focusing on where you want to go.
Water affects every aspect of our life. Water is peace, water is dignity, and water is a source of life on this planet. I'm Nidal Hilal. I'm a global network professor in engineering and director of Water Research Center at the New York University, Abu Dhabi. What sparked my innovation is the way I see water treatment around the world and how much water is needed for everyone in life, and to produce water in a cheaper way, an effective way to a thirsty world in general. So for the membranes and for the desalination technologies in general, my innovation was to start things from the nanoscale, trying to modify and make membranes for desalting water, and those membranes tailored for specific applications, and where we can reduce the attachments of the foulants or the subjects or the particles and cells that attach to the cell of the membrane, prevent the processes or the filtration processes for the membrane itself. As a researcher, I don't believe in failure. When you do research, whatever results you get, even the results you don't expect to get it is a scientific finding. For my research, the support the UAE has given me is tremendous. When I came to the UAE, I was able to get the support, the fund, and the encouragement from all levels in the UAE. I did not achieve that on my own. I've always had a wonderful team. wonderful researchers and wonderful PhD students. I owe my work and success to all of them. I believe creating a teamwork is the key to success. The biggest breakthrough in my work is when I was able, for the first time, to create the probes to be able to measure the single force of interaction of particles or cells with the membranes. And with that, tailor the best membrane. The biggest supporter for me in my career in this research has been my wife and my 2 children. They have been very supportive, always behind me, always encouraging. Don't be afraid of trying new things and always push your limits further all the time. Being organized is half of the success.
So the material that we make in our labs are POPs, porous organic polymers. Simply speaking, POPs is based on combining 2 organic molecules. When I say organic, that means no metals. And then through a simple chemical reaction, we stitch them together and making a big, basically polymer with high surface area. Those empty spots can be a place where I can store, the toxic material that we talked about. So the work starts from my office by drawing these molecules. I'm going to say, I'm going to have a nitrogen there, I'm going to have a sulfur there, and then how I'm going to put them together. Once, I feel that I made the right chemicals, I'm going to come to the lab and try to make it. Our long-term vision of this project is to take these porous materials, sponge-like material, pack them into column and make them filter. So now let's say I'm interested in getting rid of CO2. So I can pass the contaminated air with CO2 into this filter. Our material, the POPs, will absorb the CO2 and then let's say, the nitrogen, which is not harmful, to go through the filter. So that way I'm absorbing the bad gases and I'm letting the good gases to go back into the atmosphere. I lost my dad and mom at a tender age, but they were motivators. My mom used to tell me, I'm going to be someone that, will make a difference. I feel as a scientist, as a chemist, I have obligation to give back to this world. Without innovation, there's no future for us. My main dream, to have a better planet Earth, a cleaner planet Earth, where everybody lives in harmony, lives in happiness and in prosperity.
Innovations inspire you to believe that there's nothing impossible.
The best way to innovate is to build on what's been done before.
We started thinking, about developing the first type of sustainable, environmentally friendly face masks. At the very beginning, of this pandemic, we got to this situation where everyone, needs to put a face mask on. Just imagine, most of these face masks that are commercially available, they are plastic-based, face masks. They have the ability, to photo-degrade, and they can break down, they can attach to many toxic chemicals, etc. They can end up in our water resources. So just imagine that our ecosystem is being exposed to such waste. This is Dr. Shadi Wajih Hassan. I'm a university professor. I'm the Deputy Director of the Center for Membranes and Advanced Water Technology at Khalifa University. I have been inspired by my father, who is also an academic teacher. Since I was a kid, he was put on this track, of education, of science. Even when I was studying, when I was a child, the textbook that they give you in school was not enough for me, so I had to go and just explore or in other, resources. My expertise falls within water, wastewater treatment technologies, so I'm a water guy more than, a face mask guy, right? Or a medical guy. Navamask, it's basically, we use a bio-based polymer, and we use a technology that is called electrospinning. And after that, we coat these nanofibers, with some antimicrobial medicinal plants to protect us, to give us, the opportunity of, let's say, fighting against, bacteria, viruses, Perhaps, I need to recall, my father who who lost his battle, because of COVID. And from that perspective, I keep insisting, that I would keep searching, about SARS-CoV-2 and try to fight that virus. Well, I hope to see Navamask reach, to the hands of everyone. We hope to create a revolution in the medical profession, the medical sector, so we can perhaps, shift, from using those existing plastic-based, face masks with green, eco-friendly face masks. I consider UAE as my home. I was born in UAE. I felt like I was part of this family. So I wanted to do something to this community, to this country. And innovation, at the end of the day, you need to do something from an environmental perspective to help humans, to protect us, protect our environment, protect our planet. And we are thinking, for generations to come.
Any problem in this world would have a solution somewhere. My name is Muhammad Eid. I'm an assistant professor of electrical engineering at New York University, Abu Dhabi. I'm also the director of the Applied Interactive Multimedia Lab at NYU Abu Dhabi. Handwriting is a complex task that blends sensory, motor, cognitive, memory, and linguistic skills. Post-stroke patients have expressed their interest in learning handwriting as one of the top 10 skills that they want to learn after a stroke. This is why we decided to look into a technology that provides a more efficient and more intuitive way of supporting handwriting skill development and rehabilitation. What sparked this invention is observations of therapists and educators helping learners how to go through handwriting. And the way they do this is by holding their hand and then drive their hand across a handwriting trajectory. And I thought about why we can't create a technology like a robotic arm that would do the same without having the presence of the educator or the therapist in the room. So the first generation of the technology utilized a robotic arm with a pen-like stylus that the learner grasps and feels force feedback. The second generation, we got rid of the mechanical attachment to provide a completely freehand movement for the stylus, yet provide the force feedback through magnetic forces. But this was on a very limited workspace. For the third generation, we extended this workspace significantly to a much larger writing surface to allow for rehabilitation exercises. A teamwork is fundamental to my research area because you can't own all the skills that it takes to create those technologies. I would say my biggest supporter has been NYUAD. First of all, in believing in me, and of course, in supporting my research activities. Of course, my family is always my first inspiration and my supporters. I also would like to acknowledge ADAC for supporting this particular invention, believing in this invention, and financially supporting it. My number one advice is to never work alone. Just be part of a team and get people who would inspire you, people who have different kind of skills that would altogether come into creating a unique solution.
In our lab, we take more than one targeting mechanism to target cancer so that we can improve the lives of cancer patients throughout the world.
My name is Ghalib Al-Husseini. I'm a professor of chemical engineering at the American University of Sharjah. I'm also the Dana Gas Endowed Chair for Chemical Engineering at AUS.
The technology we're working on is a platform to deliver chemotherapeutics in high concentrations to the cancer only, so that the chemotherapy process becomes more humane with a lot less side effects. We're trying to target the cancer only while sparing the healthy cells. The innovation that we're working on in the lab is not to try to target the tumor one way, but two ways. One of them is biologically. So if the cancer cell has a lock, you can take a nanocarrier that has the chemotherapy inside it, and you can add the key to the nanocarrier. And so now we have targeted the cancer biologically using the key and lock mechanism. The second part is to target it using an external stimulus. The way we activate the nanocarriers is using ultrasound. Ultrasound is a very good modality, way to shake or destroy these nanocarriers so that they will release their contents, the chemotherapy drug, only to the tumor site. The key and lock mechanism is a very well understood mechanism in pharmacy, and this is actually how drugs work. The new thing in the lab is we're trying to combine this idea, the key and lock mechanism, together with ultrasound. So we have a huge research group. We get together once a week. We bounce ideas off each other because it's a very worthy problem, and we have to put too many brains into it to be able to come up with a solution. There were several breakthroughs. First of all, we were able to synthesize those targeted nanocarriers, and we found almost a 300% increase versus regular liposomes. So our formulation in test tubes improved chemotherapy delivery by 300%. The UAE is a great country to conduct research because of the quality of students that we have, the private and governmental funding that's available, and leaders who strongly believe in the value of research. My advice to young innovators in the UAE, things that I wish somebody told me when I was younger, is to stay proactive, read the literature, stay on top of things in the area that you enjoy, dream big, sky is the limit.
Solar energy is the most available resource in the world.
If we want our solutions to really have an impact, we must tailor them to the needs, the culture, and the environment of the specific city.
Eventually, some of our results are going to be beneficial also for other countries, and other countries can go bigger as we are doing here.
How do we store solar energy? A simple way is to use battery, but these batteries are suitable for small-scale application and short-term duration. However, when you want to store 9 hour, 10 hour, 15 hours of solar energy, you will need thermal energy storage, which is much more cost competitive. At the Masdar Institute Solar Platform, we have different solar concentrators, which are developed to concentrate the light from a large surface of mirror to a small surface that we call the solar receiver. And that's where we multiply the image of the sun to create heat at very high temperature and collect this heat. Once you have the heat, then you convert this heat into steam that you can inject in a turbine and generate electricity on demand. Or you can inject this heat into a Stirling engine to regenerate electricity. We started to collaborate with Azelio in 2018. This prototype behind me is first production of clean electricity at night in Masdar City. We are producing electricity using conventional solar PV panel. This electricity comes here and melts a metal alloy, and that's how we store thermal energy. We recover this heat and inject it in the black box that you can see behind me, which is a Stirling engine. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Ceramic Materials, which is a startup company, pioneer in recycled ceramics. This is the first laboratory in the GCC dedicated to industrial solid waste valorization. In this lab, we can go from the as-received waste to the final ceramic product that we shape into very specific form in order to store energy.
Imagine a future without mobility. Now imagine a future with good mobility services that are tailored to your individual needs, but at the same time are sustainable from an economic, social, and environmental perspective. That is how human-centric cities should look like. My name is Monica Menendez. I'm the Associate Dean of Engineering for Graduate Affairs, a professor of civil and urban engineering, and the director of the Research Center Cities at New York University in Abu Dhabi. Inspiration for my work comes from our everyday lives, but also from my travels. I have lived in many different cities and traveled to many more. And I have come to appreciate there are many different approaches to mobility, and no size fits all. Seeing how different cities operate, I have come to realize that the important thing is focus on the mobility of humans, not the mobility of individual modes of transportation. In other words, we should be looking at mobility from a holistic perspective, seeing how the different modes of transportation all work together to provide the services that we need. So we have been collecting data for the last few years, and we have data already from over 40 cities worldwide, billions of vehicles observation. One thing we have noticed is that at the aggregate level, traffic patterns in cities don't change much from day to day. And this allows us to predict traffic better, and then implement strategies to reduce congestion in a proactive manner rather than reactive. We're deriving new data-driven insights and combining them with new technologies, say autonomous driving, electric vehicles, on-demand transportation, sharing platforms, to address the mobility needs of the individual users while making the system more efficient. Teamwork is crucial for what we do. If we really want to have an impact on cities and transportation, we need to look into different disciplines, and no one is an expert on every relevant discipline there is. So we do need people from different backgrounds to come together to develop new solutions that wouldn't be possible otherwise. The biggest support I get comes from my family. When both spouses work full-time and you have young kids, it's important that everyone is on board, because you end up making a lot of sacrifices for the sake of research. My biggest motivation to do what I do is my kids, especially my daughter, because I work in a male-dominated field, and I want to show to girls out there that it's possible to pursue your dream, whether that is a conventional path or a very non-traditional path. The UAE doesn't only fosters innovation, but it thrives on it. If you think about research in transportation and cities, which better place to pursue it than the UAE? We're building cities as we speak, so there's a clear need for new solutions and the opportunity to deploy them.
The reuse of everything we consider as waste should be our goal. What we are trying to do here at Khalifa University is to use waste materials to build new roads. So for example, we have been using rubber from old tires, but we also have been using waste plastics. Fibers and metals are taken out of the tire, then the rubber that is remaining is shredded and reduced to powder. Asphalt, like the one we use for roads, is usually composed by bitumen and rocks. If you take the rubber powder and you mix the powder with the bitumen, the rubber is gonna modify the bitumen and enhance the properties and the performance of that bitumen. We test the materials in different ways so that we are aware of the performance of the asphalts for different distresses. The rubberized asphalt road in the UAE is a stretch of 2.2 kilometers on the E30 between Abu Dhabi and Al Ain. All around this 2.2 kilometers, we have normal, traditional asphalt. So we could compare the performance of the rubberized asphalt versus the traditional material. We have the support of the municipality and the government in general to go big, to lab scale, to real scale.
يوم وصلتنا أول صورة للمريخ كلنا تجمعنا على مكتب واحد تمينا نشوف صورة ومش مصدقين خلاص نحن عنا أول صورة. بصراحة كنا وايد مستانسين ولين الحين يعني دوم يوم تنزل أي بيانات ونحلل أي بيانات لين الحين نستانس ونقول الحمد لله يعني.
Space is beautiful, and seeing the stars and the moon by itself is beautiful. Also, it represents hope. It represents discovery, a new beginning for humanity.
كانت واحدة من يعني الأحلام إني أنا أكون رائدة فضاء إماراتية. هالحلم بعده موجود، وإن شاء الله في النكست سايكل بعد بقدم، بس يمكن ما يعني أعرف كيف الأوضاع بتستوي مع محطة الفضاء الدولية يعني مستقبلاً، بس يمكن تمارس واي نوت. لكل مشروع فضائي نحن لازم نتأكد من صحة عمل الأنظمة اللي تكون موجودة على القمر الاصطناعي، فعشان شي نحن لازم نسوي اختبارات على الأرض تكون اختبارات تحاكي بيئة الفضاء. اسمي هيام أنور البلوشي، أشتغل في وكالة الإمارات للفضاء كمهندس تجميع وتركيب الأقمار الاصطناعية واختبارها. بعد ما تخرجت أنا من الجامعة كانت في فرصة أن ناسا تسوي نفس ما تقول سمر انترنشيب، فهالشيء هذا صراحة زرع حب الفضاء في قلبي. سووا معايا مقابلة في واحدة من الجرائد المعروفة هني في الدولة، وسألوني قالوا لي شو الشيء اللي أنتي تبين تسوينه يعني في المستقبل. في نفس الوقت سبحان الله تأسست وكالة الإمارات للفضاء، وعرفنا عن مشروع مسبار الأمل، فقلت لهم أنا أبغى أشارك في هذا المشروع. وحد من وكالة الإمارات للفضاء قرأ هالمقالة هاي وعرف أني أنا عندي شوي خبرة في الفضاء وعرضوا عليه الوظيفة. الحين 6 سنين أنا في وكالة الإمارات للفضاء وما تغير، يعني ما أتخيل أني أنا بغير وظيفتي صراحة. أنا عملت في مشروع مسبار الأمل مع فريق التصميم وتركيب واختبار القمر الاصطناعي، فكانت عندي أكثر عن مهمة. أول مهمة كانت بالنسبة لي اللي هي تصميم جهاز يساعد على تجميع وتركيب البانلز اللي موجودات على مسبار الأمل. يعني خوف يمكن 70% كان منه خوف، ما تعرف what could go wrong يعني الفضاء. فكنت يعني جدا سعيدة الحمد لله أن جزء من المراحل الخطرة من مشروع المسبار يعني مرت الحمد لله، وكان إطلاق جدا جدا رائع صراحة، وحسيت شي my baby is gone to space. يعني 5 سنين وأنا بس أتكلم عن المسبار، وكل حد في العائلة يعرف أن هيام مشغولة على مشروع مسبار الأمل. كنت شوي مستانسة شوي حزينة أن خلاص المسبار راح. يعني في نعمنا نحن في دولة الإمارات، يعني نحن سنحت لنا الفرصة أن نشتغل على أول قمر يعني عربي إسلامي يذهب لاستكشاف يعني الكوكب الأحمر، وهذه فرصة جت من فكر وتوجه قيادتنا الرشيدة. يعني الفضاء صعب، الفضاء ريسكي، خطير، في وايد تشالنجز، كل يعني تحدي نفس ما تشوفه فرصة للتعلم.
I recall very well when I was a kid, about 10 years old, that I was watching the show Cosmos by Carl Sagan, and I also was fascinated by Star Trek. I consider all of these as reasons for why I'm into space, but I cannot really pinpoint the actual reason why or when did I really fall in love with space. My name is Firaz Jarrar, assistant professor at the Mechanical Engineering Department at Khalifa University, and at the same time, I'm the manager of the YASAT Space Lab. It takes about 2 years to design and build and launch a satellite. Through the 2 years, they take a series of labs where they get the chance to design it, build the satellite, test it, and then operate it and communicate with it while it's in orbit. So I think this is a very unique opportunity that they don't, you will not really find it elsewhere, especially in the region. It's very inspiring also to the students. And they really try to even touch the satellite before sending it, just to, have this feeling that we touched something and, not only worked on it, but we had our, hands on it before sending it to space, and now it's orbiting Earth. It's amazing. When it comes to innovation, each one of the satellites by itself, I believe, to be innovative because we are demonstrating new technologies. Currently, we have a new project. It's going to be a 6U CubeSat. So this is much larger than the other CubeSats that we worked on. And it's going to have a propulsion system, something that we are developing and building here at the university. It's always been like a dream of mine, as I said, but sometimes there were like moments of doubt that it's a very distant dream. But when the first satellite and MySat-1 reached orbit and sent us the first beacon, at that point, I really knew that I'm living the dream and it really happened. So far, all of our satellites are orbiting Earth. And what I'm dreaming is to go beyond, to go and orbit the moon or Mars or Venus.
شغفي من الصغر كان وايد في المجال العلمي، يعني يوم كبرت وايد حبيت الأحياء، فهذا ممكن اللي أدى أني أنا درست هندسة طبية حيوية. اسمي مريم يوسف من دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة، وأعمل في مركز محمد بن راشد للفضاء. يوم من الأيام في 2018 وصلتنا رسالة عن برنامج رواد الفضاء، فيوم شفت الرسالة شفت هذه فرصة، فقلت ليش ما أغتنم هذه الفرصة؟ دائما أسأل عمري ليش لا؟ إذا الشيء موجود فهو ليش لا؟ ليش ما نسوي هالشيء؟ أنا عندي خوف من المرتفعات وعندي خوف من وايد أشياء، بس دائما أتحدى نفسي إني أتحدى هذا الخوف، إنه ليش أخلي الخوف يتحكم فيي أنا؟ فقدمت، واللي قدموا أعتقد كانوا أكثر عن 4000 شخص، ووصلت لين أوائل 95 شخص. وظيفتي كمحلل بيانات علمية هو أني أعمل على البيانات العلمية القادمة من مسبار الأمل، وأدرس سطح المريخ ودرجة حرارة لسطح المريخ وتأثير الغلاف الجوي السفلي لكوكب المريخ على سطح المريخ. يوم بعرف درجة الحرارة، شو هاي درجة الحرارة اللي تطلع وياي، بعرف والله هذا المكون عبارة عن صخر، وإذا درست درجة حرارة مختلفة بعرف والله هذا المكون هو عبارة عن رمل. فدرجة الحرارة تعلمنا أشياء كثيرة عن سطح المريخ، ومن ضمنها الجيولوجيا لسطح المريخ. من التحديات اللي واجهتها أن خلفيتي ما كانت في مجال علوم الفضاء. شعوري أني أنا أشتغل في مشروع الإمارات لاستكشاف المريخ وأني أحلل البيانات، ساعات لين الحين ما أصدق أني أنا أحلل البيانات أتينا من المريخ. يوم الإطلاق كنا متوترين ومتحفزين إن بنطلق المسبار وبينطلق ولا ما بينطلق، شو بيستوي، لأن كانت يعني 50% نسبة النجاح. يعني كنت حاضرة من البيت وكنت أشوف الإطلاق من البيت، وكنت أحتفل مع أخواني في البيت واستانسنا الحمد لله. كنت أتمنى أن نكون مع الفريق كامل. الهدف أن بنينا مسبار الأمل وطرشنا المريخ. هو في أهداف علمية، ولكن أهم الأهداف العلمية هي بناء القدرات. فكان هدف كبير في المشروع هو بناء القدرات الإماراتية في المجال التكنولوجي والمجال العلمي. ولله الحمد أمي لها الفضل في من الصغر، وتبانا نحلم بأحلام كبيرة وما نحد نفسنا على أشياء صغيرة، لكن نخليها كبيرة يعني، ونخلي الحلم واقع.
Looking from space, when you look down at Earth, you see that there are no boundaries. We are all one humankind.
This is not possible to do that alone. You always have collaborator to make this dream possible.
Do what you do best and let destiny take the care of the rest.
Dare to dream. Don't be afraid to change paths or careers as many times as needed. It's never too late.
Thank you all so much for coming and witnessing with us the land of dreamers who do. I want to congratulate all the dreamers and innovators that we've shared your beautiful stories with the world. And I want to say thank you to all of the directors and producers who were behind these films. It took a lot of work, and all the team at the UAE Pavilion. God bless you all and thank you.